The great hall of the alien fortress was filled with laughter, but it was not the kind of laughter that brought joy. It was sharp, cruel, and heavy with arrogance. Rows of alien nobles, tall and armored in shimmering scales, leaned back on their high seats. They looked down on the few humans dragged into the chamber as if they were insects displayed for amusement. Captain Marcus Hale stood among the captives, his wrists bound with metal cuffs that burned against his skin. Despite the bruises on his face and the chains at his ankles, he held his head high. He would not bow, not here, not in front of them. The alien warlord Zorath rose from his throne. His voice was deep and mocking as he announced to the crowd, "Humans call themselves brave. They call themselves strong. Yet here is one of their finest soldiers, broken and chained. Let us reward him with a gift worthy of his weakness." The crowd roared in laughter. Marcus did not move. His jaw tightened, but his eyes remained steady. He had seen worse than insults. He had faced death more times than these creatures could count. From behind the throne, guards pulled forward a young alien woman. She was unlike the armored nobles. Her robes were torn, her wrists shackled, and her head bowed low. Her pale violet skin glowed faintly in the torchlight, and her dark silver hair fell loosely over her shoulders. Though her appearance still carried the grace of nobility, her expression showed only anger and shame. "This," Zorath declared, pointing toward her, "is Lyra of the High House. Once proud, now disgraced. She will be given to this human as a pet. Let him keep her, mock her, or waste her, it matters not. What better insult than to bind noble blood to dirt?" The hall erupted again with laughter. The aliens pounded their fists on their tables, enjoying the humiliation of both human and alien alike. Lyra raised her head then. Her violet eyes flashed with fury. She despised the warlord for his cruelty, but even more, she despised the human, standing before her. To her, he was the reason for her shame. To be thrown at his feet like some worthless object, it was unbearable. Guards shoved her forward, and she stumbled to the ground at Marcus's feet. The chains clattered loudly against the stone floor. Marcus looked down at her. For a moment, their eyes met. Hers were filled with fire and hate. His were steady, calm, unreadable. "Take her," Zorath said, waving dismissively. "She is yours, human. Prove to us how low your kind truly is." The chains were handed over to Marcus. The guards cut his cuffs free, leaving him holding the shackles that bound Lyra. For a moment, silence filled the hall. Everyone watched, waiting for him to drag her, strike her, or laugh at her as the warlord intended. Instead, Marcus did something no one expected. He knelt. The great hall stilled. Even Lyra blinked in confusion as the human soldier lowered himself, to the ground not in submission but to meet her eyes at her level. "I don't know what game they're playing," Marcus said quietly, his voice steady. "But I won't treat you as a prize. You're not mine. You're your own." Lyra froze. His words struck her harder than chains ever could. She did not understand. No one in this hall, not even her own people, had spoken to her like that since her disgrace. She wanted to laugh, at him, to spit in his face, but something inside her stirred, something she did not want to feel. The aliens, however, erupted with rage. "Mockery!" one shouted. "Coward!" another roared. But Marcus ignored them. He helped Lyra to her feet, steadying her gently, as though she were not a burden placed upon him, but a person worth standing beside. The warlord sneered. "So, the human thinks himself noble. Very well. Keep her. Let us see how long your kindness lasts before it rots into weakness." With a wave of his hand, the guards dragged Marcus and Lyra out of the hall, throwing them into a dim cell with a single lamp and a pile of straw on the floor. The iron door slammed shut, leaving them in silence. For a long while, Lyra said nothing. She sat in the corner, chains still binding her wrists, her back straight, and her eyes burning holes into the wall. Marcus sat across from her, resting his bruised hands on his knees. Finally, she spoke, her voice sharp. "Do not pretend you did that for me, human. You think you are clever defying them. But I know your kind. You will use me as they intended. You will break me, and in return, They will laugh. Marcus shook his head. You're wrong. Her eyes narrowed. Am I? I didn't ask for this, he said. And I won't take part in their cruelty. I don't care what they think. I only care about surviving, and making sure others survive too. If you want your dignity, you'll have it. I won't stand in your way. Lyra studied him, her anger caught between disbelief and confusion. She wanted to call him a liar, yet his voice carried no deception. It was calm, like stone, unyielding. You are strange, she muttered finally. Strange and foolish. Maybe, Marcus said, leaning back against the wall. But sometimes it takes fools to stand against monsters. For the first time in many days, Lyra did not feel entirely broken. She hated that she felt it, but a spark flickered inside her. Hope, or something like it. And so, in the cold silence of a prison cell, the insult meant to humiliate them both became the beginning of something far greater. Neither of them knew it yet. But the gift of mockery would one day reshape the fate of worlds. The days in the alien prison dragged on like slow-moving shadows. The fortress was built of black stone and metal, and every corner echoed with the footsteps of guards. The humans were given little food, less comfort, and no freedom. Yet even in such darkness, Captain Marcus Hale refused to let despair take root. Lyra sat in the corner of their shared cell, her back straight as always. The chains around her wrists had not been removed. She rarely spoke to Marcus, and when she did, her words were sharp. Still, he noticed small changes. The hatred in her eyes was softer now, mixed with confusion. One evening, when the guards tossed a plate of stale bread and a jug of water into the cell, Marcus divided it evenly and slid half toward Lyra. I don't need your pity, she said, refusing to take it. It's not pity, Marcus replied. It's survival. If you starve, they win. If you stay strong, they lose. Her violet eyes studied him, searching for deception. But she found none. Reluctantly, she took the bread. That night, when most prisoners slept, Marcus began speaking. His voice was low but firm. Do you know why humans are feared even when we're mocked as weak? Lyra looked at him with a trace of curiosity. Because you are stubborn? Marcus almost smiled. Yes, stubborn, and because we don't stop fighting. Even when we lose battles, even when we're broken, we rise again. That's what my people have always done. From wars on Earth to battles among the stars, we endure. Lyra tilted her head. The words carried weight, though she would not admit it. You speak as if suffering is a badge of honor. No, Marcus said. It's not about honor. It's about refusing to let someone else decide your worth. That's what they're trying to do here, decide we're nothing. I won't let them. For the first time, Lyra felt something stir inside her. A memory. Once, long ago, she had spoken with the same pride about her people. But that was before her disgrace, before the warlord threw her away as an object. Now, hearing a human speak with such conviction, she felt both envy and respect. The next day, an escape attempt shook the prison. A group of human prisoners overpowered a guard during food delivery. Shouts filled the halls as they rushed toward the gates. Marcus and Lyra pressed against the bars of their cell, watching as the attempt unfolded. For a moment, it seemed the humans might succeed. But more guards stormed in, armed with plasma spears. The prisoners were beaten back brutally. One young soldier, barely more than a boy, was struck down. Marcus's instincts flared. He slammed his fists against the bars. Let me out, he shouted, but the guards only laughed, dragging the wounded soldier through the hall. When the guards opened their cell to throw the boy inside, Marcus caught him before he hit the ground. Blood trickled down the soldier's face. Stay with me, Marcus urged, tearing a strip of cloth from his own shirt to bind the wound. The guards jeered. Let him die, human. That is all you're good for, dying. But Marcus ignored them. He worked quickly, pressing the cloth against the wound and whispering steady words to keep the boy awake. Lyra watched silently. The warlord had expected Marcus to be cruel, to treat her as a toy, to show no care for others. Instead, he risked punishment for the sake of another prisoner. When the guards returned and saw Marcus still tending the boy, they dragged Marcus out into the hall. One slammed a baton across his back. Another struck his ribs. Marcus groaned but did not fall. He kept his head high, refusing to cry out. Lyra pressed against the bars. "Stop it!" she shouted, surprising herself with the urgency in her voice. But the guards ignored her, beating Marcus until his knees buckled. Finally, they threw him back into the cell, laughing as they locked the door. Lyra rushed to his side. "Why?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "Why suffer for them? You gain nothing." Marcus coughed, blood on his lips. But his eyes still burned with defiance. "Because if we stop caring for each other, then they've already won." Lyra's chest tightened. She wanted to argue, but the words would not come. She had been raised to believe that power was everything, that the weak were to be scorned. Yet here was a man, beaten and bruised, stronger in spirit than any noble she had ever known. That night, while Marcus lay resting, Lyra did something she had not done. She moved closer to him, taking the jug of water, and the alien fortress trembled with the distant sounds of war. Outside, humans and a few rebellious alien factions clashed against the might of Zorath's forces. Within the cold stone walls, Marcus and Lyra waited, listening to the muffled roars of battle beyond. The tension was unbearable. Every clash of metal, every shout, reminded them that freedom was within reach, but not without risk. Marcus paced the small cell, thinking through every move. His mind was sharp, despite the bruises that still ached on his body. Lyra watched, him, arms folded, her expression hard and calculating. She had come a long way from the first day of chains. Now, she wasn't just observing. She was thinking alongside him. "We have options," Marcus said quietly. "But none are simple. If we strike too soon, we risk everyone's lives. If we wait, the humans outside might lose hope." Lyra's violet eyes narrowed. "You hesitate. That is not human bravery. It is fear. Or is it cowardice?" Marcus stopped pacing and looked at her, his gaze steady. "It's not cowardice. Strength isn't just fighting. Strength is knowing when the fight matters and when it doesn't. You think victory comes from brute force alone. It doesn't. Victory comes from choosing the right battle at the right moment." Her lips pressed into a thin line. She wanted to argue, to remind him that the warlords of her kind would never hesitate. But Marcus's words had weight. She had seen countless alien nobles rush into battle, filled with pride, only to die for foolish reasons. Perhaps there was truth in his way of thinking. The cell door rattled. A guard appeared, his eyes wide with fear. "The war outside, it's spreading. Many of our forces are turning. They fear humans more than ever now." Marcus and Lyra exchanged a look. This was the moment they had been waiting for, a chance to act. Yet Marcus hesitated. The rebellion outside was growing, but Zorath still commanded elite troops in every corner of the fortress. A wrong step could mean death for all. Lyra stepped closer. "You hesitate again. Are you afraid for them?" "I am," Marcus admitted. "But more than fear, I am responsible. If we move too soon, we could doom everyone, including you." Her eyes softened, though only slightly. "Then let me help. I know this fortress better than anyone. I can show you hidden passages, weak points in their defenses. You need not act alone." Marcus studied her. Trusting an alien was risky, but Lyra had proven herself capable, intelligent, and fearless. Slowly, he nodded. "All right, show me." Over the next few days, Lyra led Marcus through secret corridors, past forgotten guard posts and hidden tunnels. She explained which patrols were predictable, which rooms contained valuable weapons, and which paths could bring them closest to Zorath himself. During these nightly excursions, something unspoken began to grow between them. Lyra's pride softened into something else, respect, then trust. Marcus, who had endured loss after loss, found in her a partner whose mind matched his own. They spoke little, but each action, each careful movement, deepened their bond. 1. Night, as they crouched in the shadows above a supply room, Lyra asked quietly, "Do you think humans are truly strong?" Marcus considered. "Strength isn't just physical. Humans endure. We keep moving forward even when the odds are impossible. Others see us as weak, but that is because they cannot understand how we survive. True strength comes from refusing to be broken." She glanced at him, surprised by the certainty in his voice. "Perhaps I have underestimated you. All this time I thought your kind relied only on luck." "Luck has little to do with it," Marcus said, giving her a small smile. "It's persistence and courage and the willingness to protect those who cannot protect themselves, even if it costs you everything." The rebellion outside reached its peak. Alarms blared through the fortress, signaling that the human forces were attacking key points. Marcus and Lyra knew they had no choice but to act. They could no longer wait. Together they planned a daring strike. Marcus would lead a small group of freed prisoners to secure the gate, while Lyra infiltrated the command center to disable defenses. They risked everything. If either failed, the rebellion could collapse before it truly began. As they prepared to move, Lyra hesitated. "If we fail, I will die, and all the humans outside will fall too." Marcus placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Then we do not fail, not because we cannot, but because we must. Courage is not the absence of fear, Lyra. It is acting in spite of it." Her eyes met his, and for the first time she saw not just a soldier, but a leader who inspired hope even in the darkest moments. Her chains of doubt and anger seemed to loosen, replaced by a determination that matched his own. The night of the strike arrived. Marcus and Lyra moved like shadows, silent and precise. They avoided patrols, guided by Lyra's knowledge of the fortress. When they reached the armory, Marcus signaled the prisoners he had freed. Together they neutralized guards with speed and efficiency, taking weapons and equipment to prepare for the larger attack outside. In the command center, Lyra worked quickly, hacking into alien systems and disrupting security measures. Her hands were steady, her mind sharp. Every action she took weakened Zorath's hold on the fortress, giving the humans outside a better chance to succeed. When the final alarm sounded, Marcus and Lyra met at the central hall, standing side by side. They were bruised, tired, and bloodied, but their eyes held the same fire they had shared since the first day. "Ready?" Marcus asked. Lyra nodded. "For them, for us." Together they stepped into the chaos of battle. The human rebellion would rise or fall on their choices tonight, and neither of them would allow fear to dictate their actions. By the end of the night, Marcus and Lyra had proven themselves not just survivors, but leaders. Their courage and careful planning had saved countless lives, and their bond had grown stronger with every shared risk. For the first time, Lyra thought of the human not as a weak, inferior creature, but as someone capable of greatness. A partner, a friend, perhaps something more. And as dawn broke over the fortress, the first rays of sunlight reflecting off the black walls, both knew one thing: the war was far from over, but together they could face anything. The seeds of rebellion had been sown, and the storm of change was coming. The fortress shook with the roar of battle. Alarms echoed through the stone halls, and distant explosions sent shivers through the air. Outside, the rebellion had spread like wildfire. Marcus and Lyra stood on a ledge overlooking a courtyard filled with chaos. Human fighters clashing with the alien soldiers, fire and smoke twisting toward the sky. Lyra's violet eyes scanned the battlefield, calculating and precise. She had once belonged to the highest ranks of her own people, trained in strategy and command. Now she used that knowledge to guide the humans, showing them hidden paths and weak points in the alien defenses. "Over here," she whispered, pointing to a narrow stairwell leading to the upper levels. "We can flank the guards from above. It will give your fighters an advantage." Marcus nodded, His mind moved fast, considering the risks. "You've proven your loyalty. Let's do it. Lead the way." They slipped through the shadows, moving silently while chaos raged around them. The smell of smoke and scorched metal filled their lungs. Lyra's hand brushed against his arm for balance, and for the briefest moment, a silent trust passed between them. Neither spoke. Words were unnecessary. Their actions would speak louder than anything said. The upper corridors were filled with alien patrols. Lyra guided Marcus and the small group of human fighters carefully, using secret doors and abandoned passageways. Every guard they bypassed, every trap they avoided, strengthened the humans' advantage. Then, a patrol caught sight of them. Blaster fire lit the hall in sharp bursts of light. Marcus dove forward, blocking a shot meant for Lyra. She yelped in surprise, but Marcus rolled to cover, firing back with precision. "Are you always this reckless?" Lyra shouted, ducking behind a support pillar. "Only when it counts," Marcus replied, a grin tugging at his bruised lips. They fought together like a single unit, humans and alien allies moving in sync under Lyra's guidance. Their plan worked. The upper corridors were cleared, and from their vantage point they could see the main courtyard again. Below, humans were gaining ground. Zorath soldiers were falling back, their morale shaken by the unexpected strength and coordination of the attackers. Marcus and Lyra exchanged a glance. They had done well, but the fight was far from over. Suddenly, a warning shout came from below. A group of elite alien soldiers, larger and faster than the others, were moving toward the human fighters. Marcus's heart skipped a beat. These were Zorath's personal guards, trained to crush rebellions without mercy. "We need to stop them," he said. "If they reach your people, many will die." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we do it together." They descended the stairs in a rush, moving through the chaos with deadly precision. Lyra used her knowledge of the fortress's defenses to set traps for the elite guards, while Marcus led the human fighters in a coordinated strike. They pushed the aliens back step by step, forcing them to retreat toward the main hall. During the fight, a young human soldier was struck down by a guard's energy spear. Marcus dashed forward without thinking, catching the soldier before he hit the ground. A blaster shot grazed his shoulder, but he gritted his teeth and kept moving. Lyra fired from above, taking out the remaining guards. The fortress lay in ruins. Smoke curled from collapsed walls and fires still burned in corners where the battle had raged fiercely. Outside, the human rebels celebrated their hard-won victory. Marcus and Lyra stood at the edge of the main gate, surveying the scene. The war was far from over. The alien empire remained vast, but this victory marked the first step toward change. Lyra's violet eyes scanned the courtyard, taking in the faces of humans and freed aliens alike. Many looked at her with suspicion, some with fear, but a few with respect. Her heart tightened. She had once been a symbol of privilege, now forced to witness the cost of her people's arrogance, and yet in this moment she felt something new. Purpose. Marcus turned to her. "You did well today," he said quietly. "Without your help, we wouldn't have had a chance." She folded her arms, looking away. "I did what I had to. I've made enough mistakes to know when to fight." He smiled faintly. "You didn't just fight. You saved lives, and you chose to stand with the weak instead of against them. That takes courage, Lyra." Her heart stirred at his words, though she would not let it show. Courage, honor, trust, things she had never associated with humans until now, had become real through him. In the days following the battle, Marcus assumed a leadership role among the human rebels. His strategy, calm under pressure and willingness to protect even the most vulnerable, earned him respect. Meanwhile, Lyra worked tirelessly, helping organize the newly freed prisoners, sharing her knowledge of alien technology, and negotiating with other alien factions sympathetic to the rebellion. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. No longer prisoner and captive, no longer alien and human. Lyra and Marcus became partners in every sense. Their shared victories forged a silent trust, and even when the workload or danger exhausted them, they relied on one another for strength. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the ruins, Marcus approached, Lyra as she checked supplies. "There are whispers," he said, voice low. "Some of the other humans, they question our partnership. They think it is unnatural. Me leading with an alien at my side." Lyra paused, surprised. "Unnatural? Because I am of a different species?" Marcus nodded. "Yes. Some cannot see that strength comes from unity, not bloodlines. But we know better. Our bond has saved lives, and together we will do more." Lyra's chest tightened, pride and affection mixed in ways she did not expect. "Then we ignore them. Let our actions speak louder than their doubts." "Exactly," Marcus said, his hand brushing briefly against hers. It was a touch of reassurance, a connection neither could deny. As the weeks passed, the fortress began to transform. Humans repaired walls, cleared rubble, and organized defenses. Lyra introduced innovations from her own people, trap systems, energy barriers, and supply networks that improved security and efficiency. Her insight was invaluable, and slowly, even the most skeptical humans began to respect her. One day, a Heir messenger arrived with startling news. Reports indicated that some of Zorath's loyalists were attempting to rally nearby colonies, trying to reclaim power. Marcus gathered the leaders of the human rebellion to discuss strategy. Lyra stood by his side, her presence commanding attention. "Marcus," she said firmly, "we cannot let fear dictate our actions. We must strike quickly, decisively, and with unity. That is how we will survive." He looked at her, admiration clear in his gaze. "I trust your judgment. Your guidance has been crucial from the start. Together we will stop them." The first victory after the fortress came in the form of a small strategic skirmish on a neighboring colony. Marcus and Lyra coordinated human fighters and sympathetic aliens to secure key points and prevent Zorath's forces from regrouping. When the battle ended, the victory was celebrated not just for the success but for the unity it symbolized. Humans and aliens, once enemies, now stood together under the banner of hope. That evening, in the quiet after the victory, Marcus and Lyra walked along the edge of the colony's walls. The sky was painted in streaks of pink and gold, a stark contrast to the darkness they had endured in the fortress. "Do you ever think about the day you were given to me?" Marcus asked quietly. Lyra looked at him, a small, bitter smile forming. "I thought I would hate you, I thought I would resent my disgrace forever, and yet, here we are." "Yes," Marcus said, "what began as mockery turned into something neither of us expected. You are not my captive, Lyra. You are my equal, and together we can build something better than what we had before." Her violet eyes softened, the walls around her heart lowering. "I never imagined I would find respect or friendship or trust in a human. But I have, and I cannot deny it." He reached for her hand, and this time she did not pull away. Their fingers intertwined not as chains of ownership, but as a bond of choice. Weeks turned into months. Lyra's leadership grew alongside Marcus's. The rebellion's influence expanded, and other alien factions, inspired by the humans' courage and Lyra's example, began to join the coalition. Rumors of Marcus and Lyra's partnership spread, far and wide, challenging old prejudices and inspiring hope. One quiet evening, as they watched a small garden of earth plants thrive under artificial lights, Lyra placed a hand on her stomach. Her expression was gentle, almost reverent. Marcus noticed immediately. "Lyra." "Yes," she whispered, a soft smile touching her lips. "A new life, a sign that what we are building is not just for us, but for the future." Marcus pulled her close, eyes shining with pride and love. "Then we have truly won, not just battles, but the chance to create something lasting, together." In that moment, all doubts and fears seemed to fade. The insult that had brought them together, meant to humiliate, had transformed into unity, respect, and a bond stronger than any empire could break. From mockery to majesty, Marcus and Lyra had become a symbol of hope, courage, and a future where strength was measured by heart, not power. The sun rose over the rebuilt colony, casting a warm glow over the gardens and stone paths that now marked the human stronghold. Birds and small alien creatures once hunted for sport roamed freely. It was a place of peace, yet beneath the calm lay the memory of battles fought and lives lost. Marcus stood at the edge of the courtyard, watching as humans and aliens worked side by side, planting crops and repairing structures. His hand rested lightly on Lyra's, and the weight of responsibility sat heavily on both their shoulders. They were no longer mere fighters. They were leaders, and every decision mattered. Lyra, dressed in simple robes that still carried the elegance of her noble heritage, adjusted her cloak and looked around. She had come far from the day she was given as a gift meant to humiliate. That memory still lingered, but now it felt distant, almost unreal. She had chosen her own path, found strength in unlikely places, and discovered a bond she had never thought possible. "You see how far we've come?" Marcus asked quietly. Lyra nodded, her violet eyes softening. "I do. And yet, I never imagined that mockery could become so much more." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Neither did I, but we did it together. And now we protect more than ourselves. We protect hope." The day brought news from distant colonies. Some of Zorath's loyalists had been defeated, while others had surrendered willingly. Marcus and Lyra's leadership inspired humans and aliens alike. The coalition was growing stronger, not through fear or domination, but through respect and unity. Lyra's pregnancy, now clearly visible, had become a symbol of this unity. The child she carried was more than just a life. It was a promise of a future where humans and aliens could coexist. People whispered in awe, calling her the queen of the new alliance, while others spoke openly of Marcus as the father of unity. Neither title was desired, but both were deserved. One evening, Lyra and Marcus walked to the highest balcony of the central hall. The air was crisp, carrying scents of blooming alien flowers and freshly tilled soil. They looked out over the bustling colony, a tapestry of life and progress. "I never thought this could happen," Lyra murmured. "That we could rise from chains and mockery to this." Marcus glanced at her, a soft smile on his lips. "It happened because we chose it. Because we refused to accept what others dictated. Humans survive through hope and courage, Lyra, and you are proof that even the proudest of our enemies can change when they choose to." Her eyes glimmered with emotion. I am grateful. For you, for this life, for what we've built." Marcus drew her close. "We've built it together, and soon we will have someone to share it with." As months passed, the colony continued to grow. Children laughed in the streets, humans and aliens learning together. Lyra's strength and wisdom guided the community, while Marcus's courage and leadership inspired loyalty and trust. Together they became symbols, not rulers imposing fear, but leaders commanding respect. When the time came, Lyra gave birth to a healthy child, a boy with violet eyes and dark hair, a perfect blend of human and alien. The colony celebrated the birth as a new beginning. The child was more than an heir. He was a living symbol of unity, courage, and the power of choice over oppression. Marcus held the newborn in his arms, marveling at the life he and Lyra had brought into the world. "He is perfect," he whispered. Lyra smiled, tears in her eyes. "He is more than perfect. He is hope made real." In the weeks that followed, Marcus and Lyra addressed the leaders of